mics are on. Are you ready?
All right, I'd like to reconvene the City Council meeting for March 22nd, 2011. Would you please do the roll call?
Ready when you are, ma'am.
All right, I'd like to reconvene the April 12th, 2011 meeting of the City Council. May we have roll call, please?
The record will reflect that all members of council are present.
Thank you. Do we have a closed session report?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do. The City Council met in closed session to address the matters that are set out on the open session agenda. There is no reportable action except with respect to the following matters. In Porto versus City of Newport Beach and Interinsurance Exchange of AAA versus City of Newport Beach, the Council voted 7-0 to defend, take action, and authorize the defense of both matters. Otherwise, no reportable action was taken.
All right, thank you very much. If we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilmember Daigle, and then I will do the invocation.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one
Let us pray. Dear Lord, in each of our last two invocations, we beseeched you for guidance and help in several ways. As you are perfect, so are we imperfect, and we really do need your help. However, Lord, I worry that it may seem to you that we too often ask for your help, and that we risk leaving you the impression that we may be weak and inadequate to the burdens of governing our city and our lives without your help. We know that all that happens according to your perfect plan. And yet it must be a part of that plan includes your expectation that we prosecute our responsibilities to the best of our ability as if your guidance and help were not available to us, to act as if your unlimited capacity to forgive our errors and transgressions may not redeem us in the end. And so tonight, we do not once again pray to you for your guidance and help. Our prayer is more a solemn promise, a promise to keep up our end of the bargain by aspiring to your perfection in all that we do, even while knowing our measure of perfection will never succeed to yours. In this way tonight, as we go forward in our lives, we celebrate your greater glory. Amen. Oh, by the way, Lord, if you do still choose to grace us with your perfect guidance and help from time to time, that will still be okay with us. Amen. Okay. We have some presentations this evening. The first of which, the Newport Beach Fire Department Centennial Celebration. We have a 100-year-old fire department. How
Very
wonderful.
good. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and tonight we're honored as well to have Mr. Chairman and members of the Civil Service Board to talk about a very special a time in the history of Newport Beach. 100 years ago, the population of Las Vegas, Nevada was 30. There was no Mother's Day and no Father's Day. There were only about 8,000 cars in the United States and 144 miles of paved road. Most women only washed their hair once a month, and they did that with egg yolks or borax. Crossword puzzles and canned beer had not yet been invented, and more than 95% of all births in the United States occurred at home. So we've come a long way in 100 years. We've come a long way here in the city of Newport Beach as well. 100 years ago, our very professional fire department was established. I would like to introduce to you the person that is heading up our 100-year celebration, a fine individual, expert in his field, and a hard worker, Fire Captain Brian McDonough. Brian, come on up. And Brian has a very special presentation for all of you as well.
Good evening. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, council members, Civil Service Board members, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you. As you know, next week on April 17th marks our 100-year anniversary. For a little bit of history, back in 1911, the City Council passed Ordinance Number 65, which established a volunteer fire department here in Newport Beach, and we built our first station in a vacant lot down by the Newport Pier. The mission of the fire department here changed rather quickly. Within 2 years, we added a resuscitator to our equipment, and from that time forward, we've been providing emergency medical services to the citizens of Newport Beach. The city has continued to grow, and the City Council has allowed the fire department to grow with the city. Just recently, as recent as 2008, we've added a training tower and a new fire station in the newly annexed Santa Ana Heights area. On March 28th, 1927, the City Council again passed an ordinance which transformed our volunteer fire department into a professional, full-time department. One of the greatest milestones in the fire service in general and here in Newport Beach was in 1976. And a forward-thinking council authorized our fire chief to send 8 of our firefighters to paramedic school. And since that time, the Newport Beach Fire Department has been providing the high quality of pre-hospital care that our citizens know and expect today. Today, the fire department and the lifeguards work together. When they started out, they were operated under the police department. And then in 1929, they came over, and from 1929 to 1956, they worked with the fire department. And then they broke off and were working on their own. And then back in 1995, we started working together again. The Lifeguards is a world-renowned organization, and they've been protecting our beaches since 1928. A lot of has changed in the fire department and in the fire service since 1911. One of the things was response times. Back at that time, when a call for help would come in, it would take almost 3 minutes for the alarm to finish sounding before firefighters even knew where they were going or where the emergency was. Today, we have an average response time of 4 minutes and 15 seconds from the time the dispatcher answers the phone to the time we arrive on scene to an emergency. Some other things that have happened that have made our jobs more difficult and a little more dangerous is the advent of plastics and hydrocarbons in almost everything that we have today. That has created a situation where fires burn hotter and they burn faster. Building materials cause buildings to burn quicker and fail sooner. This means the response times are critical, and the response times are critical to the safety of the public, our firefighters, and for the successful completion of our mission. But the fire service has changed in other ways. Responding to fires is no longer the only responsibility of the fire department. Today, we provide the very best pre-hospital care around, and that has dramatically increased the survivability of the most serious medical emergencies. The risks that we face today require that we are highly trained and able to respond to medical calls, hazardous materials calls, wildland, terrorism, downed aircraft, and urban search and rescue. We've become an all-risk department, but the fire department has maintained that title out of tradition. The traditions are very important in the fire service, and one of our proudest and time-honored traditions is the badge that we wear. It's in the shape of a shield, and that is to represent the commitment that we have made to the community of placing ourselves between some catastrophic event and those that we've sworn to protect. During the next year, the members of your fire department will be wearing a special badge to commemorate our Centennial. This badge was designed by firefighter engineer Jason Fernandez, who I think is here tonight, and every one of our members have purchased this badge because they're so proud of it. And everything on this badge represents a tradition in the fire service. You'll see a phoenix across the top, which represents a rebirth. In the center, there's a firefighter's cluster, which represents the tools that we use and have to master for our trade. And the Maltese cross, which comprises the majority of it, which dates back to the Crusades, when the Order of the Knights of Malta would go into battle not to fight, but to save soldiers who'd been wounded. And they would carry the soldiers off the field with their shields. And the members of the fire service, we take great pride. We take great pride in our heritage and in the communities that we've sworn to protect. The commitment that the councils have made, you and past councils throughout our history, and civil service boards have made to the department has allowed us to become a highly trained, progressive, and innovative department. The Civil Service Board has allowed us the opportunity to employ only the best, most qualified, and most committed individuals. This department provides the best and safest equipment for its firefighters, which allows us the opportunity to respond to the growing risks that our community faces. So in honor of the commitment that you and past councils have made, and this Civil Service Board and past Civil Service Boards, the Newport Beach firefighters are honored to be able to present to you a commemorative one of our Centennial badges. Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, I have yours right here, and
Thank you.
We'd love for the rest of you to come down and join us, and we have some for everybody.
We'll have a little photo opportunity for all of council and get our badges.
members of the board and government. I think so, yes. I don't know where they understand. Well, we're going to have to it all in.
Yes. Yes. Squish over there. More, please. I can do that.
Faster camera.
Thank you so much, Chief Morgan. Brian, thank you. Brent, thanks to all of our firefighters and lifeguards for the fabulous job that they do in ensuring public safety here in our city. It's hard for me to imagine that it's been 100 years that we've had a fire department, and I'm very proud of all of you and thankful to you for the work that you do. Okay. With that, we have our next presentation, which is the Donate Life Run Walk, and I have a proclamation that I'll read. And then is Lisa Pedral here? Lisa, all right. Okay. So, whereas organ, tissue, marrow, and blood donation are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expression of compassion to those in need, and whereas more than 100,000 individuals nationwide and more than 20,000 in California are currently on the National Organ Transplant waiting list, and every 90 minutes one person dies while waiting due to the shortage of donated organs. And whereas the need for donated organs is especially urgent in Hispanic and African American communities, and whereas more than 600,000 units of blood per year are needed to meet the need in California, and whereas at any given time 6,000 patients are in need of volunteer marrow donors, whereas a single individual's donation of the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives, donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of up to 50 others, and a single blood donation can help 3 people in need. And whereas millions of lives each year are saved and healed by donors of organs, tissues, marrow, and blood, and whereas the spirit of giving and decision to donate are not restricted by age or medical condition, whereas nearly 7 million Californians, among them me, have signed up with the state-authorized Donate Life California Registry to ensure their wishes to be organ and tissue donors are honored. And whereas the California residents can sign up with the Donate Life California Registry when applying for or renewing their driver's licenses or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Michael Henn, Mayor of the City of Newport Beach, on behalf of the entire Newport Beach City Council, do hereby proclaim April 2011 as DMV Donate Life California Month. In the City of Newport Beach, and in doing so, we encourage all Californians to check yes when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID card, or by signing up at www.donatelifecalifornia.org or www.donevid.org. VIDA, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Newport Beach to be affixed this 12th day of April, 2011. Lisa, did you care to make a presentation? Okay.
Lisa asked me to come here. I am a local resident. I'm from Corona Del Mar. And looking at the firemen here, I think one of the firemen came to my rescue when I was going down. And about 2.5 years ago, I had a heart transplant done. And initially, they got me up to Hoag Hospital. And the next thing, they took me to UCLA because they don't do them at Hoag. And I'm an old guy, as you can tell, but I got a young heart, and it's really working for me. And I really believe in this sincere. I think it's a wonderful way to go. And I heard the mayor say in his invocation to keep up our end of the bargain. And I think this is a big thing that we all should do. And I'm really in favor of it. And I'm so glad I got to come here. I've probably seen some of you, along the way. I've been down here many times, and I love this community. Love to be a part of it, and I want to contribute, and I think this is a great way for all of us to contribute, and thank you.
Sir, may we have your name, please?
Eric Piper.
Eric
Last name is
Piper.
Yeah.
Mr. Piper, thank you so much for your involvement and your coming down here in support of this tonight.
Thank you.
It's a great cause. Shall we take a picture with the proclamation?
Okay. In fact, I recognized Tug Turner, who's your, I've known him for years because he was involved with CDM, and my kids all went over there. Yeah.
Okay, as soon as I get my glasses on, we'll do the next presentation. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce the next presentation, National Library Week. And I'll read a proclamation, and then our library director, Cynthia Cowell, will come down. Whereas Newport Beach Public Library plays a vital role in supporting the quality of life in Newport Beach, and whereas Newport Beach Public Library is a changing and dynamic place, providing people in the community with the information resources they need to enjoy life, live, learn, and work in the 21st century. And whereas Newport Beach Public Library receives over 1.25 million visits and 1.5 million virtual visits annually, bringing a world of knowledge both in person and online. And whereas Newport Beach Public Library connects customers with resources supporting businesses and career development, and whereas Newport Beach Public Library encourages cultural arts enjoyment through its literary lectures, children's programs, Sunday musicals, and art exhibits, and whereas Newport Beach Public Library offers its customers friendly, personalized service even in this day of instant information, and whereas the libraries and library supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week, now therefore I, Michael Henn, Mayor of the City of Newport Beach, do hereby proclaim the week of April 10th through 16th, 2011 as National Library Week at your library, and encourage all residents to take advantage of the wonderful library resources available in our community and the special programs planned for National Library Week at the Newport Beach Public Library, including the Balboa branch. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Newport Beach to be affixed this 12th day of April, 2011. Cynthia?
Mayor and Council, it's a pleasure to be here following not only the firefighters but the organ donors and tissue donors to say that everything that's been presented tonight is very important, and certainly the library is a very important piece of the community. And I want to thank you for supporting the library so well and also to say thank you to the Friends of the Library and the Library Foundation for their support. We are here, we are vibrant, alive, and really supporting what happens in this community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Cynthia. And I suspect that most or all of us will be reading books to children sometime this week in celebration of Library Week.
Indeed, and our city manager came last night in his bike gear with his bike to read to PJ story time. So
I was reading bike books, too.
to little children in pajamas.
You must have looked silly riding your bicycle in your PJs.
On his bike shoes.
Okay, those are great presentations this evening. May we have the notice to the public?
The city provides a yellow sign-in card to assist in the preparation of the minutes. The completion of the card is not required in order to address the council. Speakers must limit comments to 5 minutes on agenda items. The council has the discretion to extend or shorten the time limit on agenda or non-agenda items. As a courtesy, please turn cell phones off or set them in the silent mode. Now is the time for council announcements or matters which council members would like placed on a future agenda for discussion, action, or report.
Thank you. Councilmember Hill.
I do have a few this evening. I had the great pleasure these past few weeks in really building my pride in the city along with other council members, attending first on March 30th our police appreciation breakfast, and then on this last Saturday, April 9th, the kickoff of the 100th year celebration of our fire department and Marine with the pancake breakfast at the Santa Ana Firehouse. Both events really helped me realize, reminded me of how great our city is and how great it is to live in this city and the service that both our police and fire provide to our quality of life. I will also acknowledge that we have coming up on April the 26th the Scholarship Awards breakfast, where we salute the top scholars from both Corona Del Mar and Harbor High School. And I would encourage everyone to take a look at their calendars, and if they have the opportunity to attend that on the morning of April 26th, that is a great event, and it can be reserved on newportbeach.com, the Chamber's website. And this morning, with my loss of voice, I got to read to the little ones at the Mariners branch, and I highly recommend it. I found the books extremely educational.
All right, Councilmember Rosansky.
Yeah, I have an announcement. I had the pleasure, along with the mayor and Councilman Rush, of attending the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Coastline Community College District campus that's going to be located on Monrovia and 15th Street in West Newport, just stone's throw from Carden Hall, if you folks know where that is. It'll be a great addition, I think, to West Newport and Newport Beach as a whole. They serve a broad spectrum of the community, from seniors to vocational learning. I think they're planning on cooperating with Hoag Hospital and providing training for their staff over there. And I'm sure that the city can probably figure out a way to work with them to help with some of our programs, either through the rec department or training for our staff. So I welcome them aboard and look forward to their ribbon cutting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Gardner.
The Corona Del Mar Residents Association and the Business Improvement District will be having their annual meeting. This will be Wednesday, April 20th, beginning at 5 o'clock at Sherman Gardens. It's an opportunity to find out what's going on in Corona Del Mar. We will have the Chief of Police and I believe the Director of Public Works. And most important, there will be refreshments. If you need more information, go to cdmra.org.
Thank you. Councilmember Daigle.
Yes, I attended the opening day for Newport Beach Little League at Bonita Canyon Sports Park, and we have over 1,000 kids signed up for Little League, and the players have the opportunity to learn the fundamentals of baseball, learn sportsmanship, socialize, and actively participate as a team member. And it takes a lot of volunteers to make Little League work, umpires, scorekeepers, coaches. And we also have a lot of local sponsors, including Tommy Burgers, Accretive, and Pelican Hill Resort. The full listing of the sponsors is on the website. And the season's been underway now for a little while. And so far we have 2 undefeated teams, Fleming's and Dr. Giovanni's. And there's an orthodontist for the National League and an orthodontist for the American League. Apparently they have the market for braces. And so I just wanted to wish everyone a good season. And then secondly, I saw a flyer come by from the Newport Mesa Interfaith Organization. And with Mother's Day approaching, we have that in common. We all have a mom. And there's a special event, an interfaith event. It is in Orange, so you'll have to travel a little bit, but I think you will find it uplifting. And it's going to take place at on May 1st, Sunday, at the First Presbyterian Church at 4 p.m. And there will be free dinner as well as the celebration. So thank you.
Councilmember Curry.
Just to note, I saw the Merit mini events. I know he's going to mention several when he gets his time, but I was at the reception along with many of our arts commissioners for the opening of the Alexander Calder exhibit at the Orange County Museum of Art, and I encourage everybody to get out and check it out. It's one of the best exhibits that museum's had recently. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you.
Councilmember Selich.
Well, I actually had no announcements, but since I don't want to feel like the lone ranger up here, I'm going to make one up. Not really. I'll be reading stories for Library Week tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. in the library.
Very good.
Which library can we find you in?
Central Library.
Okay.
And I'm reading Nemo books, Finding Nemo.
Very good. I had the opportunity on Saturday, along with Councilmember Curry and his lovely wife, to be at the art exhibition at the Central Library, which was a very successful event put on by our Arts Commission. And another example of the great volunteer spirit in this city. And then on Sunday, we, along again with Councilmember Curry and his wife, attended the launch party for the Newport Ensenada race. This was done on the Balboa Village Pier, right by the ferry. And that was the first time that we've done this launch party, and it was very well attended and provided a great send-off, I think, for the series of festivities that will be held this year in association with the Newport Ensenada race, which is most certainly one of the signature events here in Newport Beach. There will be 5 more events yet to be held, including the kickoff of the race, and I encourage everyone to please get familiar with the timing of those events. Come to as many of them as you can, and let's cheer all the boats as they take off this weekend. So with that, I think we're done with announcements, and if we can proceed to consent calendar.
All matters listed under consent calendar, items 1 through 11, are considered by the council to be routine and will all be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. The council members have received detailed staff reports on each of the items recommending an action. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time the council votes on the motion unless members of the council, staff, or the public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Members of the public who wish to discuss the consent calendar item should come forward to the lectern upon invitation by the mayor and state their name and item number. If the optional sign-in card has been completed, it should be placed in the box provided at the podium.
Thank you. Councilmember Daigle.
No items to pull, but I did want to make a comment on number 5. That's the RHINE channel dredging. And as you've probably been reading, the council has a real emphasis on capital improvement projects, the kinds of things that return long-term benefits to our community and to taxpayers. And having that aspiration and those goals, what it also takes is a project delivery system that can pull it off. So I just really wanted to thank Public Works and the team of staff and consultants that are making this happen. It's a highly complex endeavor. So thanks for making it happen.
Councilmember Curry. Councilmember Selich.
No items?
And Councilmember Hill.
No items.
Councilmember Rosansky.
Nothing, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner.
Nothing.
All right, I do want to pull item number 5 for a very brief discussion. And now, are there any members of the public that wish to pull an item?
Jim Mosher, number 3.
All right. Anyone else from the public? Do any members of staff wish to pull an item?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would like to pull item number 11 and continue it into the budget process. Meeting with the city manager today, I think it's best addressed in the context of the overall budget process.
Okay. All right. Anything else from staff? Okay. May we have a motion?
I move all items 1 through 11 with the exception of 3 and 5.
Second.
And we're going to pull 11.
I'm sorry, continue 11.
Continue 11.
Second.
All right. Before we get to a vote here, would the city clerk please read the necessary identification?
For item 6, it's resolution number 2011-29, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach approving employment agreement with David Kiff, City Manager. And for item 7, resolution number 2011-30, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach approving an employment agreement with Leilani Brown, City Clerk.
Okay. May we please vote?
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Very good. Then on to the items that have been pulled. Item number 3, Mr. Mosier.
Yes, Jim Mosher. This is a resolution regarding support of grants for Measure M money. I submitted written comments about this, so I don't want to belabor the point, but I think honesty is a pretty fundamental attribute the citizens should expect of the council. At its March 8th meeting, the council was asked to approve a resolution saying it had reviewed and approved an application for matching funds for something called the Federal Water Smart Program. In that case, the application was not attached to the staff report, but it appeared that it existed. In the present case, it appears the council is being asked to say it has reviewed and supports grant applications which have apparently not yet even been written. Alternatively, if the council has reviewed the applications, it appears to have done so in a way that has not been transparent to the public. I suspect there is nothing wrong with going after the county's Measure M money, but I can see nothing urgent about this resolution and would again suggest its passage be deferred until the grant applications it is approving have been written and can be attached to the staff report so the council can honestly and openly say it has reviewed them with public input. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone from council or staff care to comment on this?
Mr. Mayor, the typical projects funded by OCTA's cleanup program are fairly basic, and they're CDS units and the trash boom. So arguably, I think, while your council may not have looked at this specific project, you've looked at those over time, especially with Coastal Bay in terms of a lot of the grants that we do see. So I mean, I'm comfortable with the limitations in this, that this is something the council has traditionally supported and continues to support, but welcome any questions or comments otherwise.
Well, I do think in the resolution it calls out the basic funding. And again, this may be one of those cases where those of us who work on these issues just sort of know what is in those grants because we've been through the process before. But it does talk about the catch basins, and those are what those funds are always designated for.
I'm sorry?
Second.
All right. Before we vote, does the city attorney wish to make any comment on the form of a resolution here? Or
Based upon the representation that this is the same as what we proceeded forward with, and these are standard application funds, I think the council is within its power to take action tonight.
All right. Any further comment from anyone on this item? Seeing none, please vote.
Prior to reading the vote, I have to read the title for resolution number 2011-28, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach authorizing and supporting the submission of a grant proposal for funding under the Orange County Transportation Authority's Measure M2 Environmental Cleanup Tier 1 Grant Program. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. All right, then I had pulled item number 5, and the reason for that is that item number 5 discusses the requirement that state lands approve this proposal, and I'm happy for that. I hope state lands does, and in the event that they do not, then, in the event that they do, the item would be funded from the Tidelands Fund. And in the event state lands does not, then we would intend to fund this anyway using the general fund, hoping that state lands would ultimately come to an agreement with us on this. I would like that this item, that it be made clear here that with regard to this item, in the event that the general fund does expend the money for this item, that it be in the form of a loan to the Tidelands Commission, or to the Tidelands Fund, so that we ultimately can track this as a Tidelands expenditure and maintain good tracking on this, just like the other dredging expenditures that we've been talking about. And so with that, I would move the item with that modification and look for a second. Okay, is there any discussion at council? All right, does anyone from the public have anything to comment on regarding this item? Okay, seeing none, please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you. All right, if we can proceed then for public comments on non-agenda items. Anyone wishing to make a comment, please?
Good evening, Mayor Henn, council members, and staff. My name is Wendy Brooks, and I've been a resident of Newport Beach over 18 years now. For some time, I've had an idea, and I thought tonight would be the right moment to present it. Other nearby cities along the coast and surrounds, far less glamorous than Newport Beach, have adopted soundbite image slogans, yet we have none. In speaking to Marilee Jackson some time ago, I learned that when she was first hired as public information officer, she inquired about whether Newport Beach had a motto. She was told, "Our city is so special and so diverse that no slogan could possibly capture its image. Therefore, we don't need one." With our brand new Civic Center due to open at the end of 2012, quite a bit has changed since then. And a city with the cachet of Newport Beach certainly deserves a soundbite image worthy of its stature. The Huntington Beach is now officially Surf City. Costa Mesa is the city of the arts. Irvine is the safest city. Laguna Beach's Visitors Bureau is a resort for all seasons. Their Chamber of Commerce refers to Laguna Beach as the Riviera of the West, and its website says the ocean lover's paradise. Last is Dana Point, which in my opinion has the most clever of them all, harboring the good life. Isn't it time that Newport Beach had a positive soundbite public image slogan too? And wouldn't it be a great touch, the icing on the cake as it were, to announce the new slogan along with its creator, concurrent with the official opening of our new Civic Center? Here briefly are several of my thoughts as to how it might work. The contest would be eligible to every single Newport Beach resident, including school-aged children, and each participant should be allowed to submit several entries. The exact number can be determined. It would need to be highly and repetitively publicized. For example, in the Navigator, the Daily Pilot, the Independent, and on our local cable TV channels at the very least. It is extremely important that all of the entries be dated in the likelihood that the slogan ultimately selected will have been submitted by more than one person. In that case, The person with the earliest submission date will be declared the official winner. Something fun to think about for a change. Good night, and thank you all for your time and consideration.
Well, thank you very much, Wendy. That's an interesting idea. I've got one to offer. How about the Shining City by the Bay?
Very, very nice. I imagine it will be voted on with hopefully others. Thank you, Mike.
Yours would be first. That's right. Time date that. Time date that.
That's true.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you.
Very good. Are there any other comments from the public on non-agenda items?
Jim Mosher, Newport Beach. Last week, I spent several hours at the city clerk's office reviewing the most recent set of the California Fair Political Practices Commission Conflict of Interest disclosures, which were due on April 1st. Since these are not mentioned or posted on the city's website, I don't know how many members of the public are aware of these Form 700s, which are freely available for inspection in the city clerk's office, and which require officials and employees with decision-making authority to each year report, among other things, the income they receive from sources other than the city, including gifts of $50 or more. I wanted to commend to the council Harbor Resources Manager Chris Miller, who I believe just left. And I believe he is one of the very few employees who took upon himself to report the value of meals he received at 2 events he attended, even though the value is well below the $50 threshold. And among the council members, although I do not always agree with his position on many things, I would like to commend Councilman Curry for the apparent thoroughness with which he has, throughout his tenure, disclosed gifts and other matters that might be perceived as creating a conflict of interest. There are, of course, some others who seem not to have been quite so circumspect. I am particularly concerned about the very large number of outside consultants that the city hires to make recommendations on specific matters, many of whom I think, have been incorrectly excused by department directors from having to disclose their conflicts, which may affect their recommendations. And I think those are conflicts that the public has a right to know about, and we don't at the moment. Thank you.
I didn't understand that last part, sorry. Are you talking that
The city hires consultants, and they can be excused from their Form 700 disclosure requirement if a department director connected with that consultant excuses them. And it varies considerably from one department to another. Some departments have excused almost all of the consultants, others not.
Thank you. Are there any other comments on non-agenda items?
Mr. Mayor, if I may just to
Sure.
briefly address the Form 700 questions. Form 700 does require consultants who have a specific impact upon recommendations and effect on actual decisions to be Form 700 filers. Department heads don't get to simply excuse them. They evaluate whether, in fact, they fall within the requirements of the Political Reform Act and are required to file Form 700s. We've been through that. Our office has been through that with respect to our consultants. While I haven't done it with other offices, they're applying, I'm sure, the standards of the Act. So the city clerk's been very diligent about bird-dogging and nagging us mercilessly to get our consultant declarations in. So the application is not just a waiver by a department head, it's the application of the standards of the Act. Most consultants, in fact, are not Form 700 filers, and it's a mistake to call all consultants Form 700 filers because they're exempted under the Act and the specific provisions of the regulations.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Do we have other comments?
This morning in the Register, there was, my name is Curtis West.
Would you state your name, please?
Curtis Westland. There was an article in the Register that mentioned that tonight's meeting was going to address the fines for party houses, especially in West Newport. At least there was like a $5,000, $3,000, $1,000 fee. Is that somewhere, because I didn't know if it was actually in tonight's agenda, but it said it was in the paper that it was. So
We addressed that at our study session that began at 4 p.m.
Okay, I didn't know because it said tonight. So,
but it will come back to the city council and there'll be chances to comment then.
That I didn't know. Thank you very much.
And don't believe what you read in the paper.
That's why I came tonight.
I think you can probably also find information about today's session on the city's website as well. So that'll get you up to speed a little quicker. Any other comments? Okay. Then we'll move on to council committee reports, starting with Councilmember Hill.
I assume that, Mr. Mayor, you will give the report on the revitalization committee?
Yes. But you're welcome to if you'd like.
No reports.
Okay.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Rosansky?
Nothing, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner?
At the bicycle safety committee meeting, one of the topics we discussed was the cyclavia, which if you have been reading, they've done it a couple times in LA where they close down a street for miles to cars, and everybody gets to walk and ride and scooter and everything. And the committee would love to do something like that, but we're so linear, we're trying to figure out a possible street where we wouldn't, Coast Highway, where we wouldn't absolutely disrupt everything. So if you've got any ideas, either come to our meetings, which the first Monday of the month at the library, or you can email me. You can find me on the website. Any ideas of streets that would be great for a cyclavia?
Okay, Councilmember Daigle.
Yes, our Citizens Aviation Committee met, and we're kind of trying to address three issues. And the first is the new STREL procedure, and all indicators, data from the airport, our own independent monitoring, as well as residents that live in the Bluffs and East Bluff, show that it's an effective fix to what was happening, planes flying over. And so it's really a positive result for our city, and very much a team effort. The airport, the city manager, our citizens who are so committed over so many years, two council members who serve on the aviation committee, Ed Selich and Rush Hill. We have an airport consultant, Tom Edwards. They were all part of a really positive result, and I think it happened because we were very fact-minded in taking our issues to the FAA, and also because we worked with the airport. But, living at the doorstep of an airport requires ongoing vigilance. The issues never go away. And so what we also heard about was what's happening in Crystal Cove, and the airport has confirmed that there is a problem. And always the first step with these issues is getting the airport to buy into that issues are occurring. And so with Crystal Cove, it appears that the planes are turning back over the shoreline earlier than expected, and so this is causing some impacts, and the airport is actively working on it. The other issue that we heard significant public comments from is planes flying over Jasmine Creek and other areas. And so the airport met this morning, the airport staff, with Corona Del Mar residents and other interested parties. And what we saw is every single flight, the pilots just stuck it right down the middle of the bay. So we did not observe problems that people are reporting. However, we have a lot of compassion for any distress that our residents feel. And I know in talking to the airport, we would even do a house call and come by your home and sort of evaluate and observe what might be happening. So we have that issue, and our independent consultant, he continues to monitor those issues as well. So we're doing what we can. We want you to know that we're on top of it. We're putting a lot of resources behind it. We're managing to get results, and we're just going to keep plugging away. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Curry.
We had a busy meeting of the Finance Committee yesterday, and we reviewed several issues. First of all is a recommendation to change the city's auditor to D.L. Evans & Company. It's always a good thing to periodically change accounting firms. You don't want to do it every year, but you do want to do it periodically, and D.L. Evans is an excellent firm who will be recommended to the City Council shortly. We also reviewed the revenue trends of our three major revenues, and I'm pleased to report that property taxes so far appear to be up to the tune of about $700,000 more than projected. Sales taxes up about $600,000 more, and our TOT taxes, due to the excellent performance at the Pelican Hill Resort, are up by more than $1.2 million. So those are all important trends that help us offset the increased costs that we're seeing because of rising pension costs and other miscellaneous city costs. We reviewed the facilities financing plan, which, as many of you know, is the plan that the city developed to project our ability to afford and measure our ability to afford the various capital facility replacements, the city hall, the police stations, the fire stations, parks, recreation facilities throughout the city. Because of better management and a better handle on the costs of facilities, a lower construction cost environment, the fact that we've been able to use our city properties more efficiently and eliminate the need for some parking structures, the overall cost of our projected facilities decreased on these projections by about $47 million, and we're able to move some of these projects up much earlier in terms of the construction. Now, actual construction will take place as we get focused on these specific projects. It's not, the FFP is not a schedule, nor is it a costing mechanism. It is a measuring device about affordability. But all of the trends are, in fact, very good, that our affordability is increasing, and our ability to get these projects online faster will exist. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Selich?
No reports.
Okay, I have reports on two committees. These are the two committees that were related to generational planning and formed by the council as an outgrowth of the priority setting meeting in February. The first of these meetings was the Tidelands Committee. This is Tidelands Management. That meeting was held on March the 30th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in the council chambers. As in the case of this and the neighborhood revitalization meeting, the other one, this meeting was the initial meeting and was organizational in nature. We reaffirmed the basic structure of the committee and discussed the Citizens Advisory Panel. And in addition to that, we determined that we would meet on the third Wednesday of every month at 4 p.m., and we believe that those meetings will occur regularly at Oasis. The next meeting is on April the 20th and will, in fact, be at Oasis. We also had some discussion on the preliminary list of projects. And in terms of next steps, we really need to form up the Citizens Advisory Panel. And I have some information on that because we are soliciting applications for the Citizens Advisory Panel for both the Tidelands and the Revitalization Committees. Those applications are on the city's website right now, and I don't have the website citation, but it's very long and complicated to start with. David, can you give people a little guidance, Dave Kiff, about how to get at that on the
I
website?
think if you go to our webpage, you'll see a news item, and it's the first or second news item that shows how to link right to that.
Okay, great.
And I see Tara nodding, so
Yeah.
I think I've got that right.
All right. Well, I cannot encourage enough our citizens to have a look at that, take a look at the application, fill it out. If you think you can be of assistance to us, we're looking for perhaps up to 7 members of the public to serve on that Citizens Advisory Panel. The deadline for applications for the Tidelands Management Committee is April 18th at 5 p.m. So please send us your application. So we want to do that as well as we can, form up the applications as quickly as we can for the Tidelands Committee. We'd also like to address our vision for the Tidelands early on in this process. And we need to start getting very specific about defining our priorities in our work plan. Also at the meeting on April 20th, though, we expect to have a presentation from the Harbor Commission about the visioning work that they've been doing. This is important work. And the committee will get a very good update. That will clearly be a part of, perhaps at the heart of what the committee does here for its activities. The other committee that was that held its first meeting was the Neighborhood Revitalization Committee. That was held on April the 6th here in the council chambers at 4 p.m. Again, organizational in nature. We discussed the committee structure. We concluded that the Citizens Advisory Panels for that committee would be a bit different than Tidelands. We're going to form a Citizen Advisory Panel for each study area, each neighborhood revitalization study area. And we want to make sure we get good representation from the stakeholders in each of those areas as well as people that can bring special expertise and help drive the process for recommendations flowing out of those studies. So please, the application for that committee is also on the city's website. The deadline for the applications for the Neighborhood Revitalization Committee is Monday, May the 9th. Encourage anyone who has an interest in any of the study areas for the Revitalization Committee, please submit your application. At the next meeting, we will be bearing down on the list of projects and priorities. I'm sure that will include visioning for Balboa Village, for example, moving ahead with the Lido Marina Village concept plan, and probably a half a dozen other things, including, as we discussed tonight, consideration of the potential for a parking meter plan for Corona Del Mar. So, those are important committees, and I look forward to the work that we'll be doing and the participation of as many citizens as we can. And with that, then, we can move on to current business. Do we have a staff report?
This first item, Mr. Mayor and council members, item 12 is a resolution that would change the membership and responsibilities of the Aviation Committee. This is per the goal-setting session that you held in February. You have a strikeout and underline version, a red line version, as well as a clean version. I would note a recommended correction that to the membership. It's fairly clear as to who appoints most of the nominees, the committee members. I did not include who would appoint the resident of the Newport Coast and who would appoint the member of the General Aviation Committee. And I'd make a recommendation that those be, as has been done in the past, appointed by the mayor but confirmed by the city council. So I'd add that sentence, that phrase behind each one of those items. And with that, I welcome your comments or questions.
All right, bring it back to council for discussion. Questions? Seeing none, do we have members of the public that would like to comment on this agenda item?
Jim Mosher, Newport Beach. I submitted some written comments to you about the many substantive problems with the provisions in the resolution about the membership of the Aviation Committee, particularly the lack of clarity about the length of time for which members can serve. Most of the current citizen members having been on the committee anywhere from 8 to 12 years. I did not mention something that troubles me even more, which is the citizens' expectation that city staff will be forthright, truthful, and admit errors when they are made. I don't want to single the city manager out for criticism, but in preparing this report, if he indeed prepared it, Mr. Kiff has replaced an embarrassing error with a convenient myth. The report says the council proposed adding a third council member to the committee's membership at its February 5th goal-setting session. In fact, the council approved, as it has in many previous years, the mayor's appointment of 3 council members to this committee as item 20 on the January 11th consent calendar, and it was about to change the name of one of the 3 appointees at the March 8th meeting when a member of the audience pointed out that the Aviation Committee has never had an enabling resolution permitting more than 2 council persons to serve among its members. Saying going from 2 to 3 is the implementation of a proposal made at the goal-setting meeting is an extreme distortion of the truth and a failure to admit what seemed to be an honest mistake. I suppose adding a third council person may be desirable, but my observation is the council members are much less engaged than the citizen members. At the March 28th meeting of the Aviation Committee, nearly all the citizen appointees and even a council person from Costa Mesa managed to make themselves available to serve their community at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning. But unless I missed someone, of the council's 3 current appointees, only Councilwoman Daigle showed enough interest to attend. Airport matters are very important to a large segment of the public, and I hope that if the council membership on the committee is expanded, the new appointees will be as committed as Councilman Daigle is to showing an interest in this committee's work. Also, as was pointed out at the meeting, although it is not a requirement of the Brown Act, it would be helpful if the committee kept minutes so that those who cannot attend will at least know what happened there. Thank you.
If I may address one comment,
Sure.
because I think if Mr. Mosher had gone to meetings for the last 4 years, he would have realized Councilman Selich goes to every meeting. He would have realized that Councilman Webb goes to every meeting, and now we have really a strong advocate in Councilman Hill. So I think the council members are fully engaged and fully supportive and represent areas that are really impacted by that. So I don't find your comments to be constructive.
Okay, do we have any other comments? Councilmember Hill.
For the record, I have attended those meetings prior to being elected, and the meeting that you went to, the only meeting that I've known that you've gone to, is the only meeting that I missed. If you have a problem with my attendance on anything, I'm available to be talked to.
Okay, I think we've covered that issue. Do we have
move the item?
Do we have
Sure.
a motion?
Yeah.
And I presume your motion includes the amendments that the city manager...
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Oh, excuse me. We need to read... Don't vote yet. We need to read the resolution title.
Resolution number 2011-31, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach relating to the membership and responsibilities of the Aviation Committee. Please vote.
All right. Now we may vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item number 13. Do we have a staff report?
Very briefly, Mr. Mayor, this is the culmination of your work at least 2 meetings previously to revamp the duties of the Special Events Advisory Committee to reflect the new process for special event review. Tara is here if you have any questions. Otherwise, the item is before you.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Is there any discussion at council?
I have only one
Councilmember
bit.
Hill?
On the second page of the pages aren't numbered. It's second page of the resolution, and I'm looking at the red line copy. In the second paragraph, it starts, "The mayor shall name the chairperson of the committee from the list of appointed members," and then it says the chairman. It probably should say the chairperson once again.
Okay.
Shall then organize.
Thank you for that. We will consider that in the nature of errata, not requiring an amendment to the motion. And are there any other comments at council? All right. Do we have members of the public that wish to discuss or comment on this item?
Jim Mosher, Newport Beach. My concern with this resolution is not so much about the changes being proposed as with the way the committee membership is already set up. Having a committee whose members are recommended by the very organizations most likely to appeal to it for support seems to me to be a case of putting the fox in charge of the hen house. Not only is it unfair to the groups that are not represented, but since the committee has a significant impact on dispensing public funds, I think it is exactly the opposite of the way it should be. These groups are asking for support from all 80,000 of us citizens, only a handful of which are special events promoters, and to fairly represent the interests of the vast majority of us and to weigh in on the value of the proposals to us, I think the committee should be composed of citizen advisors who are not affiliated with any of the groups that will be asking for support. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Do we have any other members of the public that wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, bring it back to council. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Oops, read the resolution.
Resolution number 2011-32, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach changing the membership and responsibilities of the Special Events Advisory Committee.
All right, please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, that carries us through our current business for this evening. Do I have any motions for reconsideration? Seeing none, I do want to adjourn the meeting in honor of an individual, and Councilmember Curry will handle that for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On April 6th, we lost a good friend many of us knew from Speak Up Newport, Ken Carr, who passed away very unexpectedly. Ken was born and raised and graduated from high school in Iowa Falls, Iowa. He went on to serve in the United States Marine Corps at Oceanside and later enjoyed a 32-year career with Ford Aerospace Aeronautical Division here in Newport Beach. During his tenure with Ford, he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration. Ken enjoyed a number of hobbies and interests. He restored classic cars. He traveled, was an active member of the Newport Beach Country Club, the Newport Beach Elks, Speak Up Newport, Hoag Hospital's 552 Club, and several automobile clubs. Ken is survived by his wife Joan, his children Kurt Carr and Rebecca, Kanda Carr, Kevin Carr, and Krista Drexler and her husband Michael, 7 grandchildren, his mother Dolores Seisma, and his brothers David J. and Douglas Seisma.
Thank you, Councilmember Curry. May you rest in peace. And with that, we are adjourned.